rank them from 1 to 5 every week, based off 3 things. Character development, story arc and plot, and what's new. New gadgets, new gizmos, new powers, new heroes, new villains. Now, let's get to our shows this week. And they'll be Dragonball Super, The Flash, Arrow, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Ash vs. the Evil Dead, Cage, Supergirl, Supernatural, Legends of Tomorrow, and new this week, The Walking Dead. Now, just like every Titans of TV, 5 will make the cut and 5 won't. The 5 that didn't make the cut this week, the 5 failures, the 5 whatever you want to call them, goes like this. Number 10, or the first one to not make the cut, was Supernatural. Supernatural was a good episode this week. We're continuing with season 10, or season 12, where the boys just got back their mom. Now they've just saved Sam from the clutches of the British men of letters. And so they're dealing with their mom being back. She's been dead for 30 years, and this world is very different to her than what she left behind when she died. On the other side of that, we've got Cass and Crowley on the hunt for Lucifer, trying to stop him because he's going from body to body. And in this episode, they end up catching up to Rowena, who was kidnapped by Lucifer, but she did a spell to make his vessel break down quicker. So, overall, it was a 8, or I would give it a 7 this week. It was a good episode, but I felt like we're not getting so much to the table. The episode was about this ghost house, how this house is being haunted by this ghost. Come to find out, there's little kid ghosts, and there's this mother-child dynamic going on in the episode. It was good, but it could have been better. So, let's get to our next one to make... let's get to our next show to not make the cut, and that was The Flash. Now, we're pushing week 4 now. Barry continues to mess up the timeline in other shows, which I'll get to later on when we start talking about Legends. But in his current timeline and his current show, he's pretty much let that go. And so this week, we got Mirror Master, which is another one of the rogues, and we got Top. Jesse Quick is now being on the crime-fighting beat with Barry as they're trying to protect the city. Along with that, this week we got a new Harrison Wells. Since Earth 2 Harrison Wells and Jesse Quick are going to go back to Earth 2, now they're on this search through the multiverse to find this other Harrison Wells, and now they found the proper candidate. He's in the show. Overall, it was an 8. It was good. It was better than last week, but we're still not getting that Flash that we're so used to. Also, the dynamic between Iris and Barry is starting to make progress. Their relationship is starting to progress. But other than that, not a whole lot happened in this episode, but it was fairly decent, I'd say. Now, let's get to our next show that didn't make the cut this week, and that was Ash vs. the Evil Dead. Ash vs. the Evil Dead, I gave an 8. It was a better episode than last week. We're continuing with the Necronomicon. It's hidden in the Delta, and it's driving around, killing people, killing kids. And so Ash and the gang are trying to hunt it down, stop them. And so in this episode, we're getting further, and the character development is getting better. At the end of the episode, Ash ends up putting his chainsaw through the Delta, and they throw the book in the trunk of the Delta, thinking that everything's going away, thinking that everything's fine, but you know as well as I have that it's going to pop up again. So, now let's get to our last show that didn't make the cut this week, and that was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., ever since I started watching this season, every episode is continuing to get better, just little bit by little bit by little bit. Which, we're coming to that point in the season where next episode, I'm figuring it's going to break into the top 5. I really do. Just because of the level of character development, the story, everything. This week's episode, they're still trying to hunt down these watchdogs. They're still out there killing Inhumans. And the team finally gets to meet, well, Coulson finally gets to meet the Ghost Rider in this episode. While that's going on, Quake and Simmons are on their way, moving from place to place, trying to get back in touch with them, trying to sync back up with them. So what ends up happening is, so Coulson chases down Ghost Rider in the vehicle. They're chasing him down, and they end up capturing him, and they make a deal with him. Like, hey, your uncle's in this prison. Why don't you go in there and talk to him? We're trying to get more information on this book, this dark, scary thing, which come to find out is the Darkhold from the comic books, which is another good shout-out from the comic books. Also this week, we had a big standoff at the end of the episode with Ghost Rider and with one of the new villains that was throwing like these fireball ornaments. Now, forgive me, they don't really explain or tell who it is from the comic books. I don't really know who he is. Forgive me, please. But the episode was solid, and we have this big standoff at the end, and Ghost Rider gets his chain. So that's positive. That's moving in a direction, good direction. I give it an 8.5. It was a really good episode, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens next. Now, let's get to our number 5 show this week. The 5th show this week in our top 5 was Legends of Tomorrow. Legends of Tomorrow was another fantastic episode. I give it a 9. We had excellent character development. Everything from Ray learning that it's not the armor that makes the hero, it's the hero that makes the armor. Also, we're dealing with some issues with Citizen Steel. His powers are on and then they're off, and it's like, for the first time, he's turning full on like Steel. And so they're training, and while they're on the Wave Rider, a door breaks loose, and they end up getting stuck in feudal Japan. And I really love this episode because I'm loving the dynamic of them in feudal Japan. And I'm loving the idea, and I'm loving this concept of a lot of this character development going on in feudal Japan. And about this whole warrior mentality and this warrior motif going on. Also in the episode, Vixen stashes away after, in the last episode, Our Man getting killed by the Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne. Way to go, Eobard. Screwing up the timeline again. What's up with these speedsters and messing with time? So anyway, so she stows away, and she tries to hunt down the team because Rex got killed. So she's trying, and his last words were, a time traveler. So she just automatically assumes it's them because obviously they're the only time travelers traveling around in history, right? No. So the episode keeps progressing from there, and the Legends finally find them. They got this tracking thing that can find Ray's suit, and so Citizen Steel's having some performance issues. So him and Ray do this training because they're going to take down one of these shoguns that stole Ray's armor, which I still don't understand how these samurai warriors with their primitive weapons were able to stop you in your super suit. I don't know. I don't understand it. Whatever. So the episode ends up ending with the blowing up of Ray's suit, which he's going to have to build a new one. And now the team is flying away to their next adventure. Also, the big reveal in this episode, while the team is away in feudal Japan, Martin Stein and Jefferson Jackson, Firestorm, are on the ship, and they find the secret passageway, and they find a message from 2056, Barry Allen, sending a message to Captain Hunter. We don't know what that message is, but I have a feeling it has not only to do with the crossover that's coming up, but also this whole time fuckery that Barry's created. Just saying. Like I said, overall, I give it a 9. Now, let's get to Titan number 4. Titan number 4 this week was Supergirl. Again, another phenomenal episode from Supergirl. And I would say if I had to give an award for most improved show, it would go to Supergirl. Ever since episode 1 and 2 with Superman, it's continually stepped up at their game. And in this episode, we got not only Miss Martian, but we also got Mon-El or Superboy. So, like, wow. So we go from Superman and now we're getting Superboy. And especially, I remember it was like about 10 to 15 minutes left in the episode and they dropped that. And I kept thinking to myself, the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, who could this character be? And then when they're like, oh yeah, Mon-El. And I was like, ah. Mine was blown, seriously. Because I had no idea. I didn't think it was going to be him. And also, we got Miss Martian in this episode. So, in this episode, Supergirl is still working and on her reporting skills. Jimmy is fighting with Snapper, and Snapper's trying to take over since Kat left, and Jimmy's now in charge now. And finally, we got to see him stand up to Snapper and put him in his place. Also in this episode, we got Linda Carter, Wonder Woman, playing the female president. And during this time, Supergirl saves her. And they think that it's Superboy or Mon-El or the Kryptonian, or whatever you want to call him. They thought it was him doing it. We'll come to find out there's like this alien bar where a lot of these refugee aliens from other planets go to hide out. And it's one of these fire chicks that's down there who's completely against humans, and especially Linda Carter in this episode is really trying to bridge the gap between both humans and aliens. So, great character development. The story was phenomenal. We got more heroes. Just phenomenal episode. I give it a solid 9. Now, let's get to Titan number 3. Titan number 3 this week goes to Arrow. Each and every week so far in season 5, it's just been amazing, just like Supergirl. Okay, this week's episode of Arrow goes like this. Arrow goes to break, or Oliver goes to break Diggle out of jail after he's locked up for a crime that he didn't commit. Well, the team tries to stop Oliver at first. Of course, he throws him to the ground and beats the crap out of him and then leaves. But he goes in this like super secret mission to break out Diggle. Meanwhile, the team is struggling with the issue of Rory because of what Felicity did last season, destroying his hometown, destroying his family, and killing them all. He's dealing with this issue, and at one point in the episode, Oliver goes to him and he's like, man, I can't do this. I can't put this behind me. So at one point in the episode, Felicity goes to him and is like, hey, listen, okay, I know I'm a reminder and you're a reminder to me, but it's like, we need to work together to stop, people from getting hurt out there. And at the end of the episode and towards the end, he does come through and help out the team. So Oliver is out of town, and while the big bad while Tobias Church is just going to town in the city, like the team goes out there to try to stop him. Well, at the end, and especially there's that one point when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when Wild Dog goes toe-to-toe with Tobias Church, and then he ends up getting captured. So Oliver comes back, and he's like, yeah, what's going on? And they're like, well, Wild Dog's gone. So kind of a cliffhanger at the end of the episode. I give it a solid 9. Another amazing episode out of Arrow, and I'm really looking forward to see. Also, I heard that Dolph Lundgren will be on. Many of you know who Dolph Lundgren is. He's going to be on next week's episode of Arrow. Now, let's get to Titan number 2 this week. Titan 2 this week goes to Luke Cage. Okay, out of all 4 episodes of Luke Cage. This one was the best, dude. I'm telling you, okay? And ever since I started watching Luke Cage, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep my eye on this Luke Cage. Because this is starting to get better. This is starting to heat up. And then this episode, in my opinion, should have been the first episode. This was his origin story. And it starts out right after last episode when Cottonmouth completely destroyed his favorite Chinese restaurant and he's buried in the rubble and along with the little Chinese lady and her husband. Well, in the flashback, they show to where Luke Cage used to be called Carl Lucas, his real name. And he was an inmate in this prison. He had this epic beard and he had this awesome fro. It was fucking awesome. And so one of the wardens in there tries to get him to get into this like underground fight ring, which is really kind of cool. And during this time, he starts seeing this therapist, this therapy group once a week. And there's this therapist, and she's trying to get him to open up. And he's like, I ain't stupid. I know what you're trying to do. And so, like, there's this little bit of animosity, and then they kind of start developing feelings and whatever. And while that's going on, he's starting to train, starting to consider doing this fight thing. Well, he goes away from therapy, does this fight tournament style thing where he's fighting on a continual basis. Beard gets bigger, his hair gets even shaggier, and he just gets to a point where he can't take it anymore. He's done with this, and like she hasn't seen him in a long time, and he's like, "Whoa, hey, but I've been doing this thing, but I can't tell you what it is." And then in the end, he ends up telling her, and then because of that, some of the inmates, they corner him and they beat him with it looked like a door handle. They were just beating the crap out of him. And so he needs this experiment, this surgery, this operation. So he gets put into this containment field, and he's got to wear the patented, headband thing like he wears in the comic books. And so this water fills up in the tank. It reminded me a lot of Wolverine, when he was in the tank and he got injected with adamantium. And so one of the wardens shows up and says, "Oh, what have you done?" Pulls this switch, right? Thing goes into overload and explodes, kills them both. But Luke Cage comes out of it and he's like, "I'm getting the hell out of here," and busts. And the cool thing is in present day, as he's pulling the rubble off him and trying to pull that little old lady out, and he's busting his way out, punching through it. It's the same thing in the flashback. A lot of this episode, I'm going to tell you the truth, it reminded me a lot of Arrow, and I think that's why I really loved it, was we had the flashback and then the current day thing, and excellent on character development. Then he gets out of there, and then he's running through, and he puts on this yellow shirt and pants, and it's the costume from the comics. Oh my God, it was awesome. It was awesome. Just filled with nothing but character development, brilliant story. We got so much in this episode, and it was really, really, really fucking cool to see his origin story. So I gave that one a 9.5 this week. In my opinion, it did better than the rest of the shows except for 1 and 2. Except for 1. Now let's get to our Titan of TV this week. The Titan of TV this week, you may have been counting. You may have been following this video and you're like, wait a minute. That's 9 shows, Spike. Where's the other 2? It was difficult this week deciding on number 1. This week's Titan of TV goes to Dragonball Super and The Walking Dead. Now you're going to ask yourself, oh, but there can only be one Titan. This was a rare occurrence. Because both Dragon Ball and also had to represent Dragon Ball, baby. I might wear a Negan suit next week. I don't know. I did not anticipate this episode of Dragon Ball. I knew The Walking Dead was going to be big. I didn't know it was going to be colossal, but I looked at them both, and I added it up, and I tallied it up, all my remarks, all my things in my notebook when I do this every week. And I'm like, dude, seriously, I got to give it to both of them because they both 10s. So let's get to Dragon Ball first. This week on Dragon Ball Super, The reason why I ranked it number 1 was number 1, Trunks uses the Gallic gun. Like, what is that? He used the Gallic gun. Like, we haven't seen Trunks use the Gallic gun, and I kept thinking to myself, like, man, if I was Vegeta, I'd be like, that's my son, baby. Yeah. And so, that was amazing. Mai tries to shoot at Zamasu with this energy bullet, which I don't know what the hell that was. Then Goku and Vegeta and Bulma, they arrive. And once they arrive, it was just, oh my gosh. Oh, by the way, in the beginning of the episode, Vegeta just destroyed the time chamber. Now, I know some of you out there, some of the haters, some of the Dragon Ball wankers, whatever side you're on, doesn't matter, okay? What it looked like to me is the time chamber, the whole Coliseum, the whole place was there 1 minute and then it was gone. So we can split hairs all we want to, but there has to be something said about him doing that, regardless of if he's dimensional or if whatever your classification on what that power is, that motherfucker was still destroyed. That point blank. Okay, let's continue. So they get back to the past, right? And so Vegeta's done this training in the hyperbolic time chamber for a whole day. So who knows what he did in there? But he shows up and he's like, yeah. This was Vegeta's moment. This is the moment, and this is also why I ranked it number 1. If this episode was not as phenomenal as it was, I would not have ranked it alongside of Walking Dead. But it was so through the roof, and this was the episode of Dragon Ball that I have been waiting for since Dragon Ball Z. This was the time where we got to see Vegeta shine. He got to have his moment. If you remember when I was doing Dragon Ball reviews every week, I kept talking about the fact that we could get this moment. That we could get this Vegeta moment. And we finally did, in my opinion. And especially when he's beating the crap out of Black Goku. And he's like, only a numbskull like Goku or Kakarot can use the Saiyan cells to their full potential. And he's like, oh, where did all this power come from? What are you doing? How are you so much more powerful now? And he's like, I'm Vegeta-sama, that's why. Like, damn. Just incredible episode. Also, the time machine got destroyed, and the urn got destroyed, so Trunks kind of has to glue that back together. So, a 10, and I don't give 10s very often, but this was a 10, almost 11. So, now let's get to our other Titan this week. Let's get to The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead this week, wow. Like, oh wow. I could literally make a whole 20-minute video about The Walking Dead, but I'm not going to do that. Like, I went through so many emotions, like, during The Walking Dead. Wow, wow, it was completely mind-blowing, okay? Number 1, this episode, from the moment it started, I had fucking chills. I'm just gonna say it, okay? And the moment Abraham died, I ain't gonna lie, I was deeply, like, messed up, because I kept thinking to myself, like, it ain't gonna be Abraham. And I met Michael Kulitz earlier this year, and I asked him point blank, I'm like, hey man, just tell me it isn't Abraham. And you know what he told me? He was like, listen, I can't tell you who it is or who it isn't. You're just going to have to wait and see. And I took that and I was like, oh yeah. You know, just the way his mannerisms were and the way he said it, I was like, oh, it can't be him. So when it actually did happen, I was like, oh no, dude. I even grew out my beard for this premiere to celebrate. And then he dies. And the way he died was, wow. It was traumatic on so many levels, because Abraham's my hero, man, and like to see him just get bashed and bashed and bashed, and I was, wow. I mean, Glenn's death was tragic, I ain't gonna lie. His death was tragic too, but I was just like, wow, I think I was more broken up about Abraham dying. And then especially in this episode, like Negan is fucking the hell out of Rick's mind. Like, he's like, go get my axe. Bring my axe back. You're my bitch now. And he wipes the axe on his coat. I mean, he was fucking savage, son. I mean, he was savage on like a astronomical level. Like, this man has just redefined what it is to be savage. And then especially after toying with him through this whole episode, reminding him, like, you belong to me, you're mine, your shit belongs to me. Like, seriously, what was that? And then in the end, he almost has Rick cut off Carl's arm. Like, oh my God. Like, some savage mindfuckery right there, man. Like, wow. And in the end of the episode, like, Rick's just left there just mentally and emotionally broken, and everybody else is just, and especially during the point when Negan had killed Abraham, like, Daryl steps up, and I know a lot of people out there on the internet, they're sending death threats to Jeffrey Dean Morgan and to Norman Reedus, and it's like, seriously, people, it's a show, and I love shows more than anybody, but seriously, like, these are actors, they play roles, okay? Blame the writers, blame Robert Kirkman, blame the people that write the stuff that they have to say seriously, okay? So anyways, during that point, like, Daryl steps up and punches Negan in the face, and that was a really satisfying moment. But, like, the whole episode was just, and it's broken, like, TV ratings, like, over 20 million people watched this. It's to a point where the Walking Dead season premiere has leaked into just about every fandom. I'm seeing memes here, there, and everywhere, all over Facebook. So, just amazing episode, and especially next week, we're supposed to get the Kingdom, we're supposed to see Ezekiel and the Tiger Shiva, so that's going to be exciting. So, thank you for tuning in today on Titans of TV. I'm your host, Mike Von Shadow. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.